Welcome to this next step in my Closet 2.0 series, where I've just finished building these two cabinets. I broke them into a main cabinet and a smaller cubby that sits on top. I've got a couple more to build, and I'll walk you through how I built these, plus show you a few simple jigs and clamping tricks that make building big, square cabinets with inset drawers a piece of cake. When breaking down plywood sheets, I start by ripping off 1/8 of an inch from the factory edge. This gives me a clean, straight reference edge for measuring and setting up my parallel guides. After measuring and marking the width of the panel I need, I can line up my track with the pencil line. Then I can set my parallel guides and use them going forward. The great thing about using parallel guides is only having to measure once, and then relying on the guides to align your track. After cutting all the panels to width, I need to get them all cut to the right height. It's the same workflow I used for ripping. Clean up the factory edge, measure and mark the size, line up the track, set a parallel guide, and start cutting using the guide as a reference. Now that all the pieces are cut, it's time to get them assembled. I broke down the assembly into a series of smaller steps. Up first, building the base. I took a little extra time when breaking down the plywood to cut some spacers. They make aligning the parts easier and ensure all the sub-assemblies are the same across the cabinets. My cabinet drill guide. These are 3/8 inch holes for the dowels and 7/64 to pre-drill the screws. To align my drilling guide for the middle shelf, I'm clamping the base to the side panels and using the drawer slide supports as offsets. With the dowel and the screw holes pre-drilled in the side panels, I can now assemble the cabinet. To make sure it remains square during assembly, I'm using my MFT style tabletop and some bench dogs for the side against the tabletop and clamping squares for the other side. This ensures both the front and the back of the cabinet stay properly aligned while I'm putting it together. I like to use screws and dowels when joining larger panels, and since the side panels are also my drill guides, I'm starting with the screws first to securely hold the panels together when I add the dowels. I'm adding supports to attach the drawer slides to each side of the cabinet and using spacers I cut for installing the drawer slides at the right height as guides for the cross pieces. The middle shelf sits on the support, so it's important to add them first before securing the shelf. And once the first side is done, it's just a matter of repeating the process for the other side. And now with the supports in place, it's an easy job to align and attach the middle shelf. I rough cut a 1/4 inch sheet of plywood for the back. I like to leave a lip on at least 2 sides, which allows me to clamp some scrap pieces to the ply so it goes back in the same place after I remove it and add the glue. To trim off the excess from the back panel, I use a flush trim router bit in my small router. I like sharp edges during assembly, but once something's together, I take them off with 150 grit sandpaper. This is good for paint and primer adhesion. It also protects the plywood veneer from catching an edge. Unfortunately, the once straight poplar I bought for edge banding has gotten a bit wonky. I'm using clamps to hold it in place until I can get it secured with brads. To mount the supports for the hanger rods, I made a drilling guide out of scraps. This makes it easy to get all the rods installed at the same height. I'm using a hanger rod from Home Depot and a pipe cutter from Amazon to cut it to size. Painter's tape does a good job to transfer the cut location from the first one I cut. I put an arrow on the blue tape pointing to the cut side. This also serves as a marker when cutting, letting you know you've rotated the pipe 360 degrees and to increase the tension on the cutting wheel. that wraps up the cabinets. Thanks for watching. I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel. Thumbs up if you like the video. And stay tuned for building and installing inset drawers. Like these. They're magnificent. That's coming up next, and I'll see you then.